Hello Wargamers, welcome to Let's Get Critical. My name's Gar, and in this painting guide we'll be tackling the Wrecka Krew Kill Team that came in the Brutal Cunning box set. The first brush I'm going to use is this cheap brush I got from the hobby store. It's a big bristled brush. It's a very cheap one. I use it for priming terrain and for priming models. The colour I'll be using is called Deathclaw Brown, and as you can see, I just like to load a bit of paint on the brush. I like to start dabbing it into the recesses and then rubbing it round and round. Keep the paint moving. Don't be afraid to be very rough with the brush because it's only a cheap one, and just keep going. I then move around to the back and the same process, stabbing it with the brush and then just round and round in circular motions, being quite rough with it. You don't want the paint to pool and you don't want the paint to start to dry, so you want to just, keep going really quick. It generally takes about 2, maybe 3 minutes to prime a model like this, and the trick is just to keep the paint moving. And here it is with the finished prime. This is it completely covered in Deathclaw Brown. We can start moving on to some of the detail work already. In this section I'll be using a very old and very worn medium layer brush from Citadel, and I'll be stippling on several colours around the clothing to create like a fire effect pattern. The first colour I'll be stippling is Squig Orange. As you can see, I'm just loading up the brush and then dabbing off, and then very gently, I don't know if you've seen this in any of my other videos, but you just want to very gently stipple and dab and start to build up the colour on the clothing and start to create that camouflage pattern. The trick with stippling like this is to use a little bit of paint and then just keep building it up and building it up until you're happy with it. The way it's shown here in the video looks like, but it did take lots and lots of minutes of letting it dry in between until I was sure, and I was happy at this point here. That was enough of the Squig Orange on there for me to be satisfied, and then on to the next colour. The next colour I'll be using is called Tau Light Ochre, using the same process as you saw. I'll be using the same brush, the medium layer brush, and gently just stippling, taking my time and slowly building the colour up to create the fire pattern that I'm hoping to achieve. Very gently. A few more bits to go. And I'm happy there. Enough of the Tau Light Ochre over the Squig Orange. That's very much the effect I'm looking for. And the final colour I'll be using to stipple onto the clothing is Flashgit's Yellow. It's a very bright, very vibrant yellow. It's one of my favourite colours in the Citadel range. Look at that. It's really making it pop. I've got quite a big army of orcs, and I use Flashgit's Yellow on them all the time. Just like before, just be very careful and just slowly building up the colour. I will be adding a shade to this to mute it down, so it will look a lot more. And that's it so far. That's the 3 colours, and that's the trousers and the tunic piece done. In this section I've switched brushes to the Army Painter Regiment brush, and the paint I'll be using, the colour is called Auric Flesh. Normally when I paint a model like this, I like to paint the arms and the body and then glue it together at the end, but for the sake of this video I've painstakingly glued the model together, and I don't usually paint like this, but it's so much easier for the camera. It's very difficult. It's a different way, and obviously holding the model in front of the camera, it does make it quite difficult to do. So it is a challenge for me. It's something new to me, but you know, taking my time and just applying small pieces of paint, I'm getting there. I gave it 2 coats. This is me just applying the first coat. And just being very careful, making sure the paints are quite wet, and I always add a bit of water to the pot and just keep carrying on. You can see here I go over it again and give it a bit of a second coat. It definitely needs 2 coats, the auric flesh. It's not the best opacity in the world. A nice sickly light green colour. And that's the model with all the paint done. All the painting of the skin done. In this section I'll be using the Army Painter Regiment brush, and the paint I'll be using is called Wazdaka Red. I'll be aiming for the armour. There's quite a lot of armour on this chap, and I'll be doing a few other pieces red as well. So again, very slowly, painstakingly slow, one section at a time, I just start to add paint to the model. I was planning on doing the weapons a lead belcher colour, but I was having so much fun painting with the red, I decided to carry on going. So not only is the armour getting painted red, but also the rocket pistol, and then I'll move on to the tank hammer as well. Wazdaka Red, it is a lovely colour. It's a very rich red. The Thistan Red is probably the most red, but I think the Wazdaka Red is definitely the second richest red colour in the Citadel range. And there's the finished model there. All the armour and the weapons painted in Wazdaka Red. Really starting to look the piece now. In this section here I decided to do some shading, so I'm using a shade called Reichland Flesh Shade, and the brush I'm using, it's the Army Painter Regiment brush like you saw in the last video, but it's an old one which I've had for some time. In the last video, in the clip I've just seen, I was using a new one. This one has been had for some time, and I'm just basically going over the armour and the clothing and everything that's still Deathclaw brown. So it's practically everything in the model except for the skin. The trick to applying shades is to keep the brush moving and don't let them pool. If they start to pool and create puddles and start to dry, then it starts to look a bit terrible and a little odd. So you want just a really nice, fine, liberal coat. And just keep the shades moving. The Reichland Flesh shade that I chose to use, it's not as deep of a shade as other shades like the Agrax Earth shade or the Nuln Oil, but I still think that it's got a very good ability to, you know, to work as a shade. And if you look at the video here, look at what it's done for the camo pattern we did earlier. It's now gone a really deep fiery orange, and that's the reason I wanted to use the Reikland Flesh shade. Next, I want to move on to some dry brushing, and the colour I'll be using is Wild Rider Red. I'll be using the small dry brush from Citadel, and again, very, very gently, trying not to get it onto the skin or any of the clothing. I just want to start building up a dry brush on these red areas. If there's any one colour that's, you know, probably the best colour for dry brushing red, whether it's Mephiston or Wazdaka Red, it's definitely Wild Rider Red. It really, really brings out those edges and those highlights, and it just gently changes the tone of the red to make it ever so slightly brighter. I think dry brushing is one of the best techniques to learn for painting miniatures. It really does add the final depth, giving it a good base colour, then a shade, and then a dry brush. It really completes the model and makes it look fantastic. You probably can't see, but just off the camera I have a paper towel, so when I apply paint and then I get most of it off the bristles, as you can see on the palette in the corner, but then there's a paper towel right underneath me, weighted down. And the reason I weighted it down was because my obviously left hand is holding the handle, and I've only got my right hand free to use the brush, so when dry brushing you've got to make sure that there's very, very little paint on those bristles, and it is best to do several light dry brushes, because if you put too much paint on it you really can ruin it, and then it takes quite a lot of time to go over it again. And there's the finished dry brush. He's really starting to look like an Evil Sun's clan now, and all we need to do now is start working on the details. In this section I'll be using the Brass Scorpion paint by Citadel, and I'll be using the Kalensky Masterclass brush from the Army Painter. And what I intend to do is just start picking out some of those details. I just want to start making it pop. I was going to use lead belcher and several other metal colours, you know, to have a variation, but I was having so much fun painting with the Brass Scorpion, I just decided to keep going with it. I did the rockets, and I did some of the glyphs, and I did the end of the tank hammer and the pauldrons and on the boots. I just carried on going, and yeah, I just brassed him up. You can probably see some of the red showing through when I was applying the Brass Scorpion, that I decided to give all the things I'd painted red, I gave 2 coats. The pieces on the Deathclaw brown I didn't think it needed, but all the brass on the red needed a second coat. And here he is, all brassed up. I think he looks fantastic. I think he looks hard as nails. Top brass. And the final thing to do for the model now is to shade the skin. I've done all the detail work, I've done obviously the prime, I've done the stippling on the clothing, and I've picked out all the red armour details, and I decided to do everything else just brass. and now it's time to shield the skin. The brush I'm using is an Army Painter Regiment brush, and the shade is called Bale Tan Green from Citadel. I think over the Auric Flesh it makes a lovely, lovely colour. I have about 5,000 points of orcs painted for Warhammer 40,000, and every single one of them has got the same skin. Normally I would use some Ogren camo to add some highlights, but in this battle ready video I haven't got the time, and I don't want to do that. I'll do that in a later video at a later date. For now it's just Auric Flesh with a liberal coat of the Bale Tan, and I think it makes a very lush orky green. I switched here to the Klinsky Masterclass just so it's a smaller brush, just to do this tiny piece. I didn't want to spill the green shade all over the stuff I'd painted, so I decided to use a smaller brush, which I wouldn't normally use for shading. And here's the finished model. Everything done except the base, which is what we'll do now, but I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I think all the hard work was worth it, and to be honest, I'm thoroughly chuffed to bits. For the base, the first thing I wanted to do was to start painting the two features on there. So this first feature, I'll be painting in lead belcher using the Army Painter Regiment brush. It's some kind of metallic platform that he's got his foot on, so I just gave it 2 coats of lead belcher to really make it stand out from the base. I then switched the same brush, the Army Painter brush, but I then went to standard Mechanicus grey, or Mechanicus standard grey should I say, and the rock that his other foot's on, I just went over that, and again I gave it 2 coats, and there's the finished model there. In this final section, I'll be applying some basing sand. This is some flock from the Army Painter, and I've mixed it in with some bird sand, which I got from Wilco. I got 1 kilogram of it for about £1.50. Really good for basing. I just applied some glue. It's the Army Painter glue that came in their basing kit. I've had it for some time. I then just used a synthetic brush, which I got. I spread the glue around, trying not to get it onto the metal platform or the rock that we painted earlier, and then just applied the basing material with my fingertips, very gently, got a fingertip full and just sprinkled it over the base. I decided to take the model out of the base to get to the edges, and when you're doing this, make sure you use your fingers to get the edges clean, because if it sticks to the edges, when you come to painting them black, you've got some horrible bits of grass and rock stuck to them, and you don't want that to happen. And now that it's been based, the model is finished. Here's the final showcase of the model, and after this showcase I'm going to leave you with an outro. It's a presentation, and you'll see the whole Wrecka Krew Kill Team models painted, some of the ratlings and the terrain as well. Thank you, bye bye.